Right, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen, Antony Carpen here at Balzano's on Cherry Hinton Road, and I'm just going to make a small video on this thing. It's the Tackling Peak Time Congestion in Cambridge consultation being run by the Greater Cambridge City Deal, and I'm just running around various parts of Cambridge putting out the leaflets that they've published in their thousands. My take is, with a lot of the consultation that they're doing, they should have started this 2 years ago. They should have started this ages ago, just as when I said when they presented their first risk management strategy, that should have been presented, again, 2 years ago. But, you know, better late than never. Anyway, at least they've started out in their first couple of pages on pages 2 and 3, saying what it is, how we got here, and what the challenge is. The thing that they haven't done in the way that I would like them, or would have liked them to do, is to have set out a vision. So, for example, on page 7 of the consultation documents, they've said, here is our cycling vision, saying they want to achieve segregated cycle lanes, junction improvements, greenways, cycle routes from the city centre to the South Cambridgeshire villages, more river crossings, and what they say mini Holland treatments on restricting motor traffic, and also further cycling parking provision. That for me is not a vision. That's basically a list of either individual projects or groups of projects that they want to achieve. What's missing, inevitably, because of the fragmentation of public services over the past few decades, for me, is a citywide vision for the kind of city that we want to become. And I wrote one out here, just as an example, really based on the manifesto that I wrote for me and this bundle of fun, Puffles, because we're heading off to the the Museum of Cambridge, even, because they're having a history day on everything to do with shopping and the old market. So, coming back to this vision, first of all, what value do you want, or what sort of values do you want? And I've just come up with one, and that value is many bridges, one Cambridge. The idea that actually we all work collectively to improve our city so that what we come up with is greater than the sum of our parts. The vision: 1, a sustainable sharing city for the common good. 2, where we, the people, take responsibility for the whole city. 3, where businesses demonstrate civic responsibility beyond simply just, making a profit or complying with the minimal legal requirements. 4, where public institutions are facilitators to realising the future visions rather than being barriers to them. And this includes public institutions working together, because for far too long we've seen, whether it's at a party political level or whether it's just at an institutional professional level, organisations being very, very territorial. There's no need for it. 5, where we give to our city according to our ability and receive according to our needs. 6, where our infrastructure is designed and improved to achieve the overall vision that we want. This is number 7, where we solve our problems collectively and collaboratively. 8, where we take pride in our civic history, warts and all, but are not chained by that history, but instead we learn from it as our city faces the future. And where our shared history and our shared future is accessible to the people who make our city what it is. That, for me, is a vision that you then start pulling your strategies towards. So, for example, you then start identifying what are the barriers to achieving a sustainable sharing city. Now, one of those barriers, or the barriers that they state, are very much in the City Deal transport issues on page 4, where they've listed 8 of them. But there's one other issue that I want to talk about, and it involves our schools and colleges. And that is, for me, I'm trying to think of the word, it's the divergence, the trivergence of our institutions, where we're separating our children and young people from each other because of how the institutions are choosing to behave. It's not the children's fault, and dare I say it's not the parents' fault either. But we've seen in recent times more and more small private educational establishments opening up in and around the city, and some of the marketing that I've seen, I mean, I've seen one college establish itself, or one school establish itself in another county, but label itself as Cambridge, basically saying we're only 35 minutes from Cambridge down the A14. Clearly this person had never used the A14 before, who came up with that marketing line. But my point being is, we don't as a city have a strategy or a plan to deal with the impact of institutions where we've got one group going to state schools, we've got another group, if I can call them a domestic audience, going to private schools, and then we've got a third audience going, if I can say, to whether it's the so-called cramming colleges, or whether it's the private institutions that do university access courses targeted at families from foreign countries. And it was interesting to see Stephanie Boyd in her book, The Story of Cambridge, referring to, on one of the last pages, it's, I think, let's have a look, it's on page, it's not 87, I thought it was going to be on page 93, but yeah, it is on page 93, and it's there. It's where she says, language students from all over the world enjoy Cambridge. They create a lively and cosmopolitan atmosphere in the city. Now, while I don't doubt that if you're a language student coming here and the sorts of things that are put on, yes, it can be great fun. I mean, I was a language student, funnily enough, in Vienna when I went there to do a 1-month German course 10 years ago. So it would be a bit of a hypocrite for me to saying, ooh, language students coming over here and but the problem is not the language students. The problem is the institutions and how they integrate, or how they fail to integrate, the students coming over here. My concern is that as a result of the failures of the institutions, we're creating more friction between the language students and the visitors who come over here. We're creating more friction between the children who go to private schools and the state schools. And actually, I think if we got the institutions to cooperate with each other and behave in a more civic-minded manner, and this includes the state schools as well, this includes the problems that many businesses have spoken about in terms of not being able to get past the school receptionist. And so, if we want to get anywhere near the sustainable vision that I've articulated earlier on in this video, then there's a responsibility for all of the employees, all of the staff, all of the management in those institutions to make it easier for everyone, in particular our young people, because they are our future, and to actually have a situation where our young people who go to school in this city are not separated and segregated from their counterparts who may be in a different education system, where they're benefiting from interacting with those that come here, whether it's for 1 month or whether it's for 1 year. And it's where the people who come here, whether again it's for 1 month or 1 year, are able to get to know the people who make Cambridge what it is, and are just not stuck in a little bubble that happens to have been created by the sector that they're in. So that's the sort of conversation I would love our city to have in terms of shaping our future. I'll leave it there.